yo, Crystal Rosas inside of our Z100 Artist Interview Lounge presented by Celsius Energy Drinks. Today, she's came from rehearsing with Beyonce to soaring high over Oz, making history as the first full-time Black alphabet in Wicked on Broadway. She's much bigger than that, a proud first-generation Ethiopian American, a powerhouse performer. She's already left her mark on Broadway in Rent, Hamilton, and obviously now on the iconic Gershwin stage as the Green Girl herself. Please welcome the brilliant, bold, beautifully defiant Lencia Kebede.
Hey y'all. What's up? That was an entrance, okay?
Right. Well, that's what you deserve. That's who you are.
You're so sweet.
Lencia, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
We were chatting a little bit about your start. And we also have the same background, first generation. My family's from Mexico, your family from Ethiopia.
Yep.
So we have that pressure. We have that work hard mentality.
Yes.
And how did it, come about in what you're doing now?
I feel like I've just come from a family of warriors who have endured so many things to get to where they are and who they are here in the States. So I feel like that's always been a part of my journey, is just like having this like fight and grit and like willingness to push through anything. So that's been like super helpful in my career.
Right? And we're both West Coast girlies.
Come on. West Coast, best coast. Sorry.
You've been here. I know, but kind of true.
It's fine.
You've been here for the past few months now, living in New York City for the first time.
Yes.
And when they say, like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
No, truly.
What was that transition like for you?
Well, the good thing is I lived in New York for about 4 months when I was in college. I did an internship at the United Nations. So that kind of felt like it gave me the, I don't know, like the first round of getting used to like the subway and just like the craziness of the city. So I don't feel like the transition was that difficult for me. I've always wanted to live here. So I think like my spiritual energy about wanting to be here made it pretty easy.
Same.
Yeah. Right?
I mean, when you want this beautiful big city for so long, when you want to be part of it, you're like, okay, like sometimes it'll snow, but whatever, like.
Exactly. Because I know people who are like not fond of the craziness here and like it's overwhelming for them. Yes. So I get that. Totally get it.
I'm so happy that your transition has been good.
Yeah.
But I want to go back. When you were growing up, when you were in school, were you in plays too?
Absolutely. I was a pretty hyperactive kid. Like I played a lot of sports, was super involved in like academics and like volunteering and church, and then a lot of theater, like community theater, choirs at school, choirs at church. So even if I didn't know where my like singular passion was as a kid, like I always had a love for like being creative and being in the arts, and it was always a part of my life.
What were some of the fun plays that you were in, your favorites?
Ooh. When I was in middle school, I did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Played Veruca Salt. She's not very nice, but it was fun.
Veruca, she's the spoiled brat.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
she's the rich girl. So that was
fun. A dream role.
Silly, like just playful and silly. Also, I did Hairspray in high school and in college. So like doing the same role, like doing the same show twice was really fun. And I did so many. I did Cats in high school back when I was a dancer, which I would say I'm a strong mover now, but I have other passions and other talents. Okay? But Cats was cool because the makeup was crazy, which like resembles what I do now, like
Wait,
crazy long makeup.
What do you mean it was dancing not like your thing, or?
I feel like I could as a kid because I was a kid.
Okay.
But I would call myself a singer and an actor.
Okay, yeah.
A writer, a producer, an activist. But I have other passions.
Wow, so you always were on the stage, literally, and auditioning.
Always, yeah.
Were you always confident, or sometimes was it a little?
That's a great question. My mom says from her memories that I just like always had this fire in me. I know, which is so like, I understand, I get that because I obviously still feel it because I'm here. But yeah, I feel like I just really believed in myself as a child. Like my parents never taught my siblings and I to question where we were or why. They always just taught us to take up space, especially like racially. Growing up in like a lot of predominantly white schools, I always felt like I belonged. And that's such a testament to like my family's perspectives or my family's support, that confidence that they instilled in my siblings and I. So yeah, I feel like I always had a pretty strong sense of self. That doesn't mean I didn't have insecurities, let's be clear. But like I feel like that's a part of building an identity, is like navigating those things. So that's what made me stronger, was like being aware of the things that I was maybe afraid of or things that made me nervous, and also still pushing through them.
What a blessing that you were raised in that environment, because it showed in you auditioning, and it showed in you getting a role that on TV or movies it's a white little girl in Willy Wonka, but you're like, I don't care what color you are.
And I didn't even think about race like at all, which was so interesting, especially coming from an immigrant family. They were so good at just teaching us about humanity and not thinking about the decisive nature of what this world can represent these days. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that upbringing.
That's amazing. I feel like my mom did that to me too, and just pushed us to be our best.
Yeah,
so it's so cool that kept going and going and going for you.
Totally.
So you were talking about how you studied in college, something that you did not end up not in musical theater.
Yeah, I studied in my undergraduate studies. I majored in diplomacy and world affairs, and I minored in politics, which, for the record, I did and still do love. I just had this like creative bug like pulling at me towards the end of college, and I was like, I just gotta see. A lot of my career has been driven by like my curiosity and my capabilities. Sometimes I don't know where I'm gonna land, but like something in me just is like, you gotta see. I just gotta see if I can do what I think I can do. And here I am. It just ended up being one thing after the other. But a lot of the skills I learned working for local politics, international politics, law firms, just like the work ethic, the professionalism, and just like the worldview, the historical context that I can bring to the characters that I play because of my undergraduate degree is invaluable. Like, it's so useful.
Were you auditioning and working on your vocals and all that while you were in college, even though you were so busy with everything else?
That's a great question. I was in choir, which we called Glee Club, all 4 years of college, which was super fun, which was classical music. So it taught me something, like a different level, sort of like the more like fundamental, like the ballet of the dance world, like the real technique of it all. So I was doing that, and my school didn't have a huge musical theater program, but they had a pretty strong acting program. So I would take like acting classes here and there, which was cool about my university, which was this sort of like interdisciplinary education where you don't have to be in the major to take the classes. So I felt like I still got the training while also focusing on my other passions.
So when you were in choir, did they teach you how to read music, or did you know that, or do you know that? Do you have to know that to be in musicals and on Broadway? It's
not required. It's certainly helpful. But a lot of the music directors, like in the rehearsal processes, are like really walking you through things, and they're adaptable. They're adaptable to everybody's like skill set. Of course, certain things like, look, if you can't sing Define Gravity, you can't be Elphaba. Like there are certain marks that you have to hit, but there are other things that they are very adaptable about. So yeah, I was learning, studying music, vocal technique, everything that I needed to do this today. Yeah.
So you're in elementary school, middle school, high school doing plays.
Yeah.
And then your senior year of high school, you found a passion for politics.
Yeah. Somewhere in high school, I started taking AP literature and English classes, and I remember they just blew up my like worldview of like what was normal and good, and I was like, I need more.
Yeah.
Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, I still love performing and I still want to continue performing. I knew that. But I want to see academically like what else I can discover in the like social justice, human rights, political service realm. I don't know. Something sparked in me.
So then in college, you're pursuing those endeavors on your own in your studies, but then are you auditioning for things in college too, or is it more just the acting classes and the choir stuff?
I'm not auditioning outside of college for anything during the collegiate years, but towards the end, once I decided, I think I'm going to try to do this professionally, that's when the real outsourcing happened, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yes, because it feels like in college, a lot of these girls and boys are auditioning and they're doing roles on Broadway.
Yeah.
So you decided, I'm going to start this now.
Yep.
So what was that process like? How do you even get into that?
That's a great question. For me, it was a lot. The thing that helped me a lot through the transition was building professional relationships. So like going to my acting professors and being like, who can you connect me with? Networking, which like my mom in her business mindset was something that she instilled in me a lot. And that's how I learned everything, from resumes, headshots, to who to audition for and why, and how to even find the auditions in the first place, or how to find an agency or things like that. I knew none of it. You know, like that was not what I was studying in college, but some people that had graduated before me and other alumni of my university had helped me kind of like build that foundation. Yeah.
So what was your first audition like?
That's a good question. Let me see if I can even remember. I'm sure I auditioned for like some Disneyland thing because I was in LA. And like a lot of performers that I knew were doing shows at Disneyland, and I'm obsessed with Disney, and I want to be a Disney princess one day so bad. So I was like, let me get started. Those beginning auditions when you are real green to the industry are terrible because you have to wait in line forever. Like I'm talking 5 a.m. outside of a studio in Burbank, in LA.
And everyone in line is like singing
Yo,
and talking and like rehearsing, right?
Crazy. And then I remember like some of the first times I'd come to New York to audition, and again, not having appointments for these things because I didn't have those connections yet. So it's again waiting outside in the cold in New York because that's what it took. Sacrifice. And that's what I learned very quickly, which I was again already instilled in me growing up, like fighting for what you believed in, you know, and what mattered to you, which relates a lot to the character that I play now, and just that unrelenting energy towards your goals was like the only way to be successful in this industry.
So then what was your first gig like when you got the call? What was that audition and what was it?
I did a community theater production of Beauty and the Beast right after I graduated college. And then I did my first equity show in LA. It was
What does that mean?
Equity is the actors union. So it's like how do I describe it? It's like the line between like a professional show and a community theater show would be an equity production. So that's the first like professional show I did. That's the first time I started working with like people who had been on Broadway before. So I was like, let me take some notes, see what it's giving. So that was a production of Memphis. So that was like the fall after I graduated college. And then I did Tokyo Disneyland. I did this jazz show for 7 months in Tokyo, which was sick. Japan is sick. It was amazing. But that was the first time I really learned what it meant to sustain.
Wait, how did you audition for that?
Same way I did everything
Where?
else, just pulling up. In Burbank. California.
So all of them are in you auditioned, it depends, but
a lot of the Disney stuff, yeah, auditions.
Did you audition
in LA.
for that? Like you knew
Specifically?
Yeah,
I think so.
What?
Yeah, I think it was specifically for that because I knew it was
Tokyo
jazz.
for 7 months.
Yeah, which was sick, which was amazing because that was the first time. It's a jazz show. It was all in English, but I got to work with a lot of local Japanese artists, which was really cool. And like again, living in a foreign country, doing. I think it was like a 30-minute show, like a sort of a jazz review, American classic jazz review. 30 minutes, about 6 times a day. So that was the first time I was like learning the rigorousness of being a professional artist, I guess. Yeah, and like having to maintain that. And I also had to know 2 different roles. All the girls that did the role it was like we were kind of switching off. So it was kind of what's called swinging in our industry, which is when you can play multiple roles at different times. So it was a lot of like professional exposure at once. So I was like, this was like really me figuring out like, do I want this or not? Because this is what it's like.
Yes.
Are you down for this rigor and like also being able to manage like a personal life and like a social life and living in another country? So I was like, oh no, I can do this. I was like, yeah, I think I could do this.
So all the other stuff, living away from home, a new place, and all those struggles, it was worth it when you're on stage.
Oh yeah,
that's really what it was.
And like the people I met through those experiences, and obviously the cities I got to visit, which led me to touring after that, was like, okay, this like artistic endeavor, like not only is just like fun, but it creates community for me. It's activism in its own way. I'm getting to like learn about new cultures and like interact with new communities. So it's just exposing me to it's opening my aperture to life, you know?
Did your family get to visit you?
Yeah, they did. They came and stayed with me, which was so fun. And of course they saw the show 100 times. And like we get to go to like, and like go to the Disney parks in Tokyo, which are like really unique and special. Yeah. So
I'm a Disney girly too. So when you said I haven't been to Tokyo, but
Disney, I love Disney.
So cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So then what was the next chapter? You said that you decided to audition for a touring show.
So I got back from Tokyo Disney, and then yes, I knew I wanted to tour. That was like one of my early on goals, and that's when the Rent audition came around. I was with an agency at the time, and they had set that up for me, which was cool. And it was probably like a couple months. Had to like fly from LA to New York, as it is, because most of the final auditions for these Broadway shows or touring companies happen in New York. So,
Wow.
so that was that.
So
And
how many auditions do you have to do to get on a show like a touring Rent?
it definitely depends. Every show is a little different, but it can be like, depending on how desperate they are too. Like, let's say somebody drops off last minute, it could be like 2 weeks and you're in the show.
Ah.
But like Wicked, for example, was like maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe like 6 rounds in person, on Zoom, on like tapes. So it kind of depends on what their timeline is, what their need is, and like how lucky they are in finding the people that they need. So the Rent thing process was probably like a couple months of tape, going to New York maybe once or twice. And then somewhere in there, Beyonce happened. And I did another regional production of Sister Act, actually, in New Hampshire while I was still auditioning for Rent. And I was still going to New York, like any audition that I saw, because I was still early in my career. I was like, let's go. It was giving yes to life. That's my mom's sort of motto. Yes to life. So I was just like, anything that looks interesting to me, any casting companies that are casting things that also cast other projects I want to be in, I'm showing up.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Crazy.
And I don't want to breeze by it because
No, you're good.
a lot of us haven't been in a room with Beyonce. So what was
A lot of us haven't. Yeah, honestly,
dude, how did that happen?
it's like one of those things where it's not even something I would have dreamt of. Like, oh yeah, this is my goal. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't even in my like purview at all. So when it came up, it was all sort of under wraps. A casting director I'd worked with previously on a TV show reached out and was like, hey, you should audition for this thing. And it said like A-list artist is looking for singers or something. And I was like, ugh, whatever. It's probably some dumb LA, like whatever. I arrive. We have to sign NDAs. But it's okay. It's in the past, so I can talk about it. The performance is over. And yeah, then I see her name on the thing, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Made some adjustments in my mind to show up how I needed to, and yeah, just had to audition for her music director. Just everything kind of the whole process kind of happens like live in that there's no preparation. They don't give you like sheet music in advance or like things to study before. It's like they're teaching you on the spot and you have to perform it on the spot, which is kind of her like mentality. She's amazing to see her work, and she's so respectful and kind to everyone in the process. So it was inspirational on many fronts.
Yes, what did you learn seeing her move and being there and her techniques?
Truly how she treated everyone, like how like a company's culture can translate to an effective and special performance. Like when you watch the 2018 Coachella performance, like everybody is connected. And I feel like that's a testament to her energy and how she sort of like requires people to behave in the space, which is like in a loving, supportive, collaborative way. And that shows in all of her work. Everybody is amazing on her stage, because that's the culture she fosters.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then moving on to a role on Hamilton.
Yes, which was amazing.
That is an intense show.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
there's a
yes.
lot of amazing shows, but even watching it, like you have to follow along. There's so many words.
It's fast.
It's really fast.
It's so fast. And I started in the ensemble playing the 3 Schuyler sisters, like understudying the 3 of them. So that was a very particular skill that I'd never experienced before. Like I had played 2 roles in the Tokyo Disney experience, but very different in terms of like rigorousness and like details. Like Hamilton is very detail oriented. So the skills I learned professionally and personally, just how to manage that environment, that like just the intensity was so important. Like the work ethic and just, again, paying attention to those details coming into a space like Wicked was so helpful. And then over time I self-advocated and I knew I wanted to play one of the Schuyler sisters. So like, just had to kind of fight again. More fighting.
Talk about that, advocating for yourself, because so
important.
many times around us we see people that kind of mope around and say, oh, I
Sure.
want to do this and do
Right.
that. But you just said that you advocated and you fought for yourself because you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I believe closed mouths don't get fed. Okay, y'all, sleep on it, because like how can anybody know what you desire in life if you don't speak up about it? And Similarly, when I knew I wanted to pursue the creative path after studying politics and international relations, like that little bug just was like, you need to do this. Like, and so, yeah, a big part of my career was like listening to that inner voice and like having the bravery and like self-awareness to put myself out there.
And working on a huge show like Hamilton, what is that schedule like, especially when you're traveling? What does the day look like?
It's an 8-show week, meaning we do 8 show, which is standard for Broadway shows or Broadway-like shows. Touring is hard because we only have one day off for Broadway shows, which is Monday. But usually on tour, you're traveling on Mondays, so you're not really having like a whole day off. So that's what makes the touring schedule so crazy. And you're also different climates. You're like, you don't know where your grocery store is when you go to a new city, or your gym, or like your yoga studio, whatever. Like, there's so much. You have to be so adaptable. And moving into a new theater space and having to perform that night, there's just so many things you have to get used to and still be able to perform consistently. So like that intensity like really teaches you to learn about what your body needs, what your mind needs to stay consistent.
So then all that work of traveling and the different schedules and different hotels.
Oof.
And then there's an opportunity where you can audition for Elphaba.
I know. I couldn't pass it up.
How did that happen?
I actually had another really promising and exciting job offer at the time, but my agency reached out and said, "Hey, like if you're interested, like they're looking for Elphaba." And I was like, but like they were like, we will defer to whatever you want, if you want audition or not. But like we think this is, from our side, this is a great opportunity. And I'm like, how am I gonna say no? Like it's a dream role. And like if I'm having this opportunity now, like why I can't pass it up. So
and the timing is sickening because
crazy. The movie
has never been such a thing.
Exactly.
I mean, it was always such a thing, but the movie just highlighted how big of a thing it is.
Right, which is why it was just like I can't pass up this opportunity. And it was a huge learning curve to learn the music and feel confident in performing it. But yeah, then the process started. Self-tapes, which are video auditions that we sent to New York, and flying to New York after I'm doing a show in Hamilton in LA, like right after the show, getting on a red eye, landing in New York at 11 a.m., auditioning at 1 p.m. and getting right back on the plane to the West Coast. So like the sacrifice, that's what I'm saying. Like you got, it's not for the weak. I'll say this industry is not for the weak. You have to fight. You really have to fight.
People see the roles that we have, you know, if it's on air, if it's on Broadway, if it's on a show, and they see like the lifestyle and how cool it is, but they don't see the past 12 years.
Yes. And all the things you learn and
the sacrifices, like
the
you said.
sacrifices you have to make, the like periods of discomfort and like self-doubt, and just like there's so many like mental hurdles to overcome to be able to just like show up in front of a stranger and like perform a song like Divine Gravity, which is stressful as hell, I'll tell you that.
I know, because at this moment, even more than ever, people know the music.
Yes, absolutely. Which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because like because of the movie, like Wicked is so much more accessible. Like just the demographics that the show is reaching. It's amazing. It's an amazing time to be in the show.
So what about when you were down to the last few auditions?
Oof, yeah.
What was that like?
I really had to commit to either outcome, getting it or not. I had to like internalize that whether I got it or not, that didn't define my talent. Like if I got Elphaba, that didn't make me like more talented. That doesn't mean I can like all of a sudden sing more notes on the piano or like do something crazy. Or if I didn't get it, same thing.
Wow.
I'm still who I am, regardless of the outcome. And that was my work mentally through the end of the process. So I didn't attach my worth to something outside of myself because it was easy, because I was so invested. By that point, the final auditions, like I feel like a deep personal connection to the character at this point. So it's personal, you know. I'm bringing myself and my experiences to this audition and to this role, so it's personal. It's hard to separate yourself from it.
What was the hardest part about learning to be Elphaba when you were auditioning and practicing?
That's such a good question. Oh my gosh. Trusting myself, I think. Trusting my training in the face of nerves. So like going into the room and it's like as soon as you walk in, they're like, okay, start. And you're like, I don't know how to sing anymore. You know, like it's just like, it's constant positive self-talk of like, I did a lot of silent studying in the audition process, which for me means I listen to the orchestration and I imagine myself singing the song. Which is also a great way for me to just rest my voice, because I was also doing Hamilton 8 times a week while I was auditioning for this. I've never been more tired in my life. Like vocally, my voice is pretty strong, God willing, thank you Lord. But that was rigorous for me, for my voice. And there were times where like my body could not sing Divine Gravity again to practice, but I needed to. So I knew I had to find unique ways to study, and that was visualization for me.
What was the moment like? How did they tell you that you got the role? And how did your body react to that?
This is my favorite story to tell because it's ridiculous. I was on tour with Hamilton at the time, and my agent and I were in the middle of a conversation about another project, and he was like, hey, I just wanted to, chat with you about that project. That project. Give me a call. And I was like, of course, I'm like anxious immediately. I'm like, my stomach. I'm like, oh God, what could this be?
Wait, but what vibe did you get from him?
He's chill.
Yeah. So you don't.
He also likes to play games and divert attention a little bit because he loves the drama, and I live for the drama, so it's very fun. So he calls me and he's like, hey, it looks like you're not going to be able to play this other character because you're going to have to be Elphaba in Wicked on Broadway. And I was like, I started laughing. Yeah. I started cracking up. Yeah. I was just like, I'm confused. He was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand. And I feel like in that moment, my body was like, it was so many, because I knew I was the first full-time Black Elphaba immediately. Like I knew what that meant for him to say those words to me. So it was like this, like out of body, like I like saw myself as a child. This is so woo-woo, but like I always had this feeling in myself as a kid that I wanted to do something like meaningful for the world. And I didn't know how. It wasn't like I was like, I want to be in Wicked as a kid, because I couldn't even imagine doing something like this. But I knew I wanted to do something that mattered, like something that could positively influence and inspire people. And like, I think I started laughing because like, it was almost like looking at myself in the mirror, like, I freaking told you, bro. Like I knew you were going to do something crazy, but also just like shock. Like my body, I didn't even know how to react, but it was like a prophecy, like coming to fruition. Yeah. It was almost like an evil laugh. Like, yeah. I did it. Like I was in disbelief. It was crazy.
It's so crazy on so many levels because I interviewed the first Black Galinda.
Oh, really?
Years ago.
Oh,
and
I love
she was
her.
a sweetheart.
That's so sweet.
But then we got the first Black Elphaba on a TV screen.
Yeah.
Before even Broadway.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool how that lined up, and you're a part of that.
I know. It's like, it gets to be a part of me forever. Like no one can take that from me, no matter what happens after this. Like I get to hold this as a part of my story, my legacy, like who I am and what I bring to the world. So like, it's so special.
And then the character of Elphaba does mirror more of the struggles of a brown person, a Black person, a minority.
Yeah.
So the fact that you actually are the person that can tell that story on Broadway.
Yeah, it's very personal to me. And just so like, Elphaba reflects like anyone who's literally ever felt different. Like it doesn't even have to be racial. It could be just like how you think, how you act, like where you're from, your hair. Like it could be so simple, which is why I love the stories, because it's so relatable to so many people, and specifically personal to me because I know what it feels like to feel like the world doesn't trust you because of what you look like, because you're different, that you are different. And so like having the opportunity to like bring this like deep empathy and like grit to this character who should have no self-esteem and no sense of self, but like she never falters. She never strays away from what she knows is right and what is true to her. And that's the message. That's why I feel so personally connected to her.
And then what was the family's reaction when your mom got the call?
Tears. And yelling. Just like, also like yelling in our Ethiopian language. Like everyone is just like praising the ancestors. Like it's just like
yeah, it goes deep.
Oh, deep. I like took videos of everyone's responses too, because I made this cute little video after getting the call, and I just watch it sometimes, and like it's what makes me so happy is like the joy that this moment brings to like my people, like that we get to share that and they come and see the show, and like it's just so special to all of us.
So then you're rehearsing. I mean, you already have the role. You know you can do these things. But then when you're on the side stage and it's your time to go on, and the lights are up and the Gershwin Theater is full with a whole bunch of little girls in Galinda and Elphaba outfits. I mean, that's a different beast.
Yes.
Opening night, what was that like?
Nervous as hell. I just want everyone to know that, like, I feel like on the outside it looks like the show just runs like perfectly, which it does. But like internally, like the experience of doing that is like, it's so intense. It's a lot to carry. I care a lot about how this character affects people. Like, I want to do it justice. I feel like I have the opportunity to represent my community. So like, it matters to me, you know, like I definitely, I put a lot of time and energy into like building this character. So I was so nervous in presenting it for the first time for, might I add, 60 of my friends and family on the first night, which was like obviously amazing and exhilarating, but
even more pressure.
Yes, like it required me to be very focused. Like I was like, I can't even think about what is happening right now. I have to just be in this world of Oz because I will be like, just like an emotional wreck. Like it's just so, I can't even believe what's happening. Like I'll cry. I'll just cry, combust immediately. So I had to like be very like blinders, like just think Elphaba's thoughts. That's all I could think.
I want to backtrack real quick.
Yeah.
When you're getting that call that you're going to be Elphaba, is Hamilton over? How does that work? Can you just transfer over? How does that?
I mean, there are contracts and there are a lot of like rules around things, but all the companies are very communicative about things that might go on. So like I was on the Philip tour of Hamilton, which recently closed. And so I had to leave that tour early, and they were very, very supportive. Like they were like, if you told us you weren't going to do this, like we would have been like, that's crazy. And so I was like, I so appreciate that support. Like, because to the Hamilton sort of higher ups, it wasn't about tit for tat, drama company stuff. It was like, they genuinely cared about me and my success and like what this story meant to my community and our community as a whole in the entertainment industry. So to have their support was so special to me. Wow. Yeah.
So now you've been at Gershwin for the past few months. That's your home pretty much.
Yep.
So what has been maybe the best night or just something that stands out to you on your many, many shows now where you've been Elphaba?
Actually, last week, I feel like I had some of my best performances. It takes a long time to like understand some aspects of this character because it's such a long running show. There's a lot of like specific details. So I don't know. I had a performance where I just felt so connected to her. And I feel like things that I've been working on for so long kind of just magically made sense. And I know I'm feeling myself because after the Defying Gravity ends and the blackout comes, sometimes I just go like I'm just like, yeah, to the audience. I don't know. Something comes over my spirit. And that day I just felt particularly just grounded in who she was. And so it meant a lot. And Juneteenth recently too, performing this show on Juneteenth was very just like one of those moments I'll never forget too. It just felt so powerful and so important.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of conversation about Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo and how they interacted, like in press and things like that. And sometimes the internet was poking fun at it. But since you are Elphaba, can you understand that? What can you say about that? Like from you being in that shoe in a certain way?
Absolutely. I mean, doing this show 8 times a week, or really, I mean, they're doing it on screen, so it's not 8 times a week, but like, there's no way you can't get close to a counterpart that you are like telling such a vulnerable, intense story. So yeah, I totally understand that they like can finish each other's sentences because they're spending so much vulnerable time together telling this story. So it makes so much sense to me. How could you not? Mm-hmm. And that it helps in the storytelling and like the overall arc of the character's development if that relationship is there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. When you're just with them for so long and the storyline is so deep.
It's exactly
the moment. Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you not?
Mm-hmm. And for you, how did it feel when you were suspended into the air for the first time doing Defying Gravity?
I really thought like it's called the levitator. That's what lifts me up. I thought it was going to be like faster. So it's a pretty like slow, steady incline. So it's not too scary. But the first time I like did it with an audience, I was like, it makes sense why this song is not sung on the ground. Like, it's just It's so grand. I'm like, I can't sing it on earth anymore. Like, it's like, come on, defying gravity. We need to defy the damn gravity, okay? It's fierce. It was amazing.
And it is such a pinnacle. I think even one time when I went to Broadway, I was like, I just need to see that part, and then I could like,
literally.
I need to go to sleep. I have an early call. And
Yes.
isn't that a lot of pressure performing that? Well, I mean, I'm sure there was so much rehearsal, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
But there's so many different renditions, and
Yeah.
and I even heard you have your own. How do you find that, and does it change every show? How does that go?
I think what keeps a character alive is allowing her to be different every day. So I try not to chase performances. And by that, I mean, like, let's say I had a really good performance yesterday. I try not to like be like, okay, I'm going to try to make it like that. I let her be like a living, breathing being. So yeah, the song for me feels different every day. Maybe I sing it a little different every day, but each time is authentic to what I'm feeling in that moment, which keeps her alive.
I'm one of those that when I watch, I love to just hum
I know.
along because it's so hard.
I know.
The songs are so fun and so good.
Like, what can you do?
What do people on stage think about fans that go in and feel like they're on the stage and they're singing in their seats?
It makes me laugh. It really, because sometimes like there are little pauses in the music and I will hear someone sing something before me and I'm like, yo, you want to come up here and do it? You can. Like, that's cool. I would love to chill out for a second. But honestly, it's cute because I can feel how important the story is to people and how people are so touched by the music. So I'm like, I can't be mad at that. We laugh about it though backstage. Like, oh, did you hear this person or this person? I'm like, oh, did I hear this person? Yes, I heard this person. How could I not hear this person?
She's not hit that E minor. No,
okay, right. Like, ooh. But actually sometimes because people like will make noises and I'm like, it's distracting. It can be distracting. So I have to be very focused. But ultimately, I know it's just people's love for the show. So it's fine.
Is there anything that you took away from Idina Menzel's rendition of Elphaba? Yeah, the first one that you really admired, or
I think she has this like knack of just being unapologetic. And I met her recently and I was like, she has this like charm and like she's so unafraid to like be who she is, and that's also Elphaba. So when I met her, I was like, I get it. Like she just like lures people in just by being herself. She's not pushy or like she doesn't try. It's just this natural, like beautiful, floaty, honest, authentic energy, and I see that like quirkiness and like free spirit energy in Elphaba.
How did you meet her?
I went to the New Dramatist Luncheon, which was honoring her in some of the recent work that she's done and in Redwood. Yeah, a recent show that was on Broadway. So it was great to just hear her story and hear people talk about her. I was like, yeah, she's really that girl. I understand. She is that girl.
Did you meet her? Did she know that you are?
Yeah, we got to chat about it too. It was really cool. I was like, from one green girl to the other. Yeah, it was cool. It was sick. Those are the things that are so special about this process is the sisterhood runs deep. Like so many people have played this role and each one of us brings something new, but we all have this like underlying energy that connects us.
Do you have other favorite Elphabas?
Everybody is so amazing. I mean,
I know.
I'm trying to think. Shout out to Jessica Vosk. I also recently met her, which was amazing. And she also has that like just unapologetic fire. And she's funny as hell. Like she is so naturally so silly. And I think it's so great. And I love that she brings that to the character. So shout out to you, girl.
Aww. If there was a scene that you could trade with Galinda and be Galinda.
That's a good question. I've never thought about. Oh, I know what it is. It's thank goodness. That's a complicated emotional moment for the character. And I live for characters who are how do I say this? Are like fighting with like a public facade but dealing with a different internal experience. Those are like my favorite characters. And she in that moment has to kind of like present to the world like everything's fine, but she's also singing about how things are awry. She knows things aren't doing well inside of her and the world around her, but she has to like keep this like public persona up. And I'm obsessed with that like internal dissonance and having to navigate that as an actor. So I would want thank goodness.
That's Act 2, right? I haven't memorized.
Beginning of Act 2. Yes.
Okay, I haven't memorized that.
Yes.
that
Yeah,
act
no,
yet.
you're good. The first, basically, the second song of Act 2. Yeah.
If Elphaba had a playlist,
Ooh,
what's one song that isn't in Wicked that you think Elphaba's?
these questions are crazy. Okay. I feel like it would not be some like mainstream thing. Oh my gosh, she would need something to calm her anxiety, I think.
Maybe
something
Solange.
chill. Ooh. That would be cute. Some cranes in the sky. She needs to chill out. Elphaba needs to calm down. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to say something like that. Something chill, please.
Billie Eilish.
Yes. Good.
Right.
Vibes. Something calm. Jazz. Samara Joy. I've been obsessed with Samara Joy lately. So I feel like Elphaba needs some jazz in her life.
Oh, yes.
So chill out.
What about the little girls after your show that are there? What is it called on the backstage when
The stage door?
Stage door.
Yeah. They're
The
so
little girls
cute.
that are waiting for you at stage door. What are some fun, or boys, moments that you've had at the stage door?
Oh, that's a good one. It's hard for me to stage door sometimes because the role is so taxing that I have to be like very aware of how much energy I'm like giving to everyone. I'm trying to think of something funny. I love the outfits. I love when people are dressed up and like when they tell me like my mommy made this for me. I'm like, that's crazy and it's intricate. Like it looks like my dress, you know? So I live for the dresses and the makeup. It's so cute. Or the kids who like refuse to pick one side. They really are about the community, the Elphaba and Glinda. Like they're like, I like them both. And I'm like, good for you, sis. They're like wearing a pink bow and like a green dress. I'm like, inclusivity.
Yes.
Yeah. We can all there's space for all of us. So I live for those kids.
And you just mentioned it. The show is so taxing that afterwards, I mean, with all that adrenaline and all
Yeah.
that love, it's a lot that you take in. I
Yeah.
mean, you're giving out everything, but then you're also taking it in.
Right.
So what does the after show look like for you to actually be able to sleep?
I don't turn on any lights in my apartment. I just sit in the dark a lot. I know that sounds crazy, but this show is so like stimulating emotionally and also just like visually that I just have to like kind of like be dead emotionally a little bit at home, which like helps me kind of recharge. So like just like watching TV or like reading a book, but dim lighting. For some reason, the lighting, I need chill lights and I need like aromatherapy, like candles. Just whatever I can do to just like relax, which is what I do kind of in between shows at the theater when I stay there all day after a matinee. I have like my chill, cool, like blue lights in the room and have my diffuser and my, you know, so it's really about kind of, I have to turn off. I really have to turn off.
Was there anything that you actually ask a day off for?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like family events, things like that, like important life moments, you know, and they're very good at respecting that we need a little bit of work-life balance. And I try not to like, I don't take a lot of days off, but you know, when there's once in a lifetime moments, birthdays, graduations, things like that, I try to show up for my
Also,
family.
they're cool about that.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool about it. As long as there's like notice and communication, which they're super cool about it.
Same. What about a sick day? Have you actually taken a sick day?
Knock on wood, I haven't been like ill yet, but I've certainly been tired. So like, which is one and the same, like this sort of sick day policy. You know, I can take off a day for whatever reason I need to. So if I feel like I'm not feeling 100% today, maybe just like a little vocally tired or even mentally tired, I try not to push myself because I don't want to burn myself out. I have a year in this role and I have a million wickeds to do. The show is going to be there the next day and I have to rest when I need to rest, when my body says I need to rest.
Do people usually do the role for more than 1 year, or do you see this being, thank you?
Thank you so much. Bye. No. Generally, the witches, meaning Elphaba and Glinda, do the show for 1 year. On occasion in the past, people have stayed longer, but it's super, super rare. It's generally 1 year contract. And I think that has to do with like the rigorousness of it, which I feel like 1 year is perfect. I feel like I get a real taste of it. And then I would come back for like short stints if they needed it. But 1 year feels like the perfect amount of time to like really soak in the character, get into the groove, and then just flow, and then, you know, leave my mark on the thing. Yeah.
Have there been any starstruck moments for you of either someone in the
absolutely.
audience or someone you've met out on Broadway?
Absolutely. Well, I did get to hang out with Cynthia Erivo at the Tonys, which was obviously sick. And I was just like, wow, this is my life now. I guess we're just going to hang out. This is cool. Serena Williams was in the audience maybe a month ago, which is cool. I didn't get to meet her. She had to run, but I was just like, this is crazy. Like, you're a legend. And you're watching me, you know, get to experience this historic moment for our community as a whole. So that was really cool.
What?
Yeah.
That is so crazy. And as you're just going and doing the things, I mean, you're on Wicked on Broadway in New
Yeah.
York. How do you even think of other goals?
I know, it's crazy. That's what's interesting about this is it's like allowing me to dream in different ways because this is sort of the pinnacle of what I imagined for myself as a kid. So now that I've played like long running characters in that Wicked and Hamilton and Rent have been shows that have been up and running for a long time, so they're very well known. So now I'm super interested in like starting creative processes from the ground up, whether that's on camera, originating a role on Broadway. I'm also super into like animation and like voiceover. Like I said, I love Disney. So like to play a new Disney princess or like just like build something from the bottom because I've learned so much about jumping into a well running machine that now I'm like, how can I take those skills and like, evolve them some more?
If you were Elphaba, you are Elphaba. What about some summer bucket list for Elphaba in New York City?
Ooh. Yo, I just want to have a picnic in the park, but it's hot. But like that's a good activity for me because it's like not very like physically taxing, but I could still be social, But like any like outdoor like live music, I really want to experience and just like get to be just to enjoy what New York is about in the summer. I feel like, which is like community. So I would look forward to that a lot.
We have our Z100 $1 million summer happening right now.
Oh.
A chance to win $1 million. What is advice that Elphaba would give to our winner
Wow, that's interesting.
if they became a millionaire? Yeah.
What would she say? She would like invest your money. Make sure you open a high yield savings account.
Save animals.
Right. Actually, no. She'd be like, make sure you see what the world around. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. I think it would be about like some philanthropic something. That's a really good point. That's what it would be. 100%. I stand by it. Good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just seeing your growth and hearing your story and knowing what you've done for women and are
Aw.
doing for around the world, it is
Thank
so,
you.
so, so cool. How does it feel right now to be Lencia Kebede?
I feel like the most myself I feel like I've ever felt. I feel alive. Like I feel like I'm getting to use all my favorite things about myself on and off stage. I'm getting to like perform this multifaceted character. I'm getting to like advocate for things that I care about, like equality and empathy, simply. So yeah, I feel so just like grounded and like aligned with who I am right now.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's freaking sick. I'll tell you. It's really, it's something. It's crazy.
What about for all those people and the fans and the family that have been with you since your first performances in school, but now
Oh my
continue
God.
to see you all the way here
I'm
in
so
New York
grateful.
City on Broadway?
So grateful. I couldn't have done it without any of you guys. Like so many phone calls and FaceTimes and hangouts of just like helping me through big feelings that come along with such a vulnerable industry. Having to like put so much into these characters and having such a strong community, friends and family that have held me up, down, left, and right for my whole life, especially during my career, but really my whole life. So I'm so grateful. Like I could not have done it without the support.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for
course.
chatting with us. I learned so much today. And
You asked such good questions. I'm like, this is so interesting. Think about what
It
Elphaba
is
thinks.
interesting.
How does Elphaba feel about $1 million? Now I'm gonna think about that tonight in my performance. It's a good point.
But no, so cool to see your journey and everything you're doing for minorities. But not just that, just like I said, just people in general that are striving to reach dreams they didn't even think that they could have.
Exactly.
So I don't even know where I'm going to see you. Maybe on a movie, maybe on
Hey,
another show. I don't
let's
know
go.
where, but I thank you for your time.
Of
Thank you for sharing your energy and
course.
space. Thank you for everything and the legacy that you are leaving. Congratulations. And
Thank
thanks for
you.
stepping into our Z100 Artist Interview Lounge presented by Celsius Energy.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
Of course, Lencia. Thank you.